This show is brought to you by Loud and Opinionated.
We are back for the puck drops here. That was a new intro.
Yes,
we're here to talk games 3, games 4. It's getting nitty and gritty. It's pretty exciting. This is exactly how I want it to happen. We were tied up 2-2. We're gonna talk about how we got there. Talk about game 3 first, obviously, and then game 4, and then what to expect in a couple days. Actually, I think it'll be when this posts. It'll be Wednesday, so Thursday is the next game, right?
I think you're right. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe these are the things that we should pay attention to before we start the show. But yeah, I'm almost positive it's Thursday. Yeah, Thursday at 7:00.
Well, there you go.
I figured it out. Google's my friend.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff, man. Let's talk about game 3 that happened on Saturday. Let's go with that first.
What is there to really talk about other than Boston beat the living crap out of them? Bennington gets pulled for the first time ever as an NHL goalie. He gave up some real soft goals. Let's just leave it at that.
I mean, yeah, I don't blame them. Maybe they were down 4-0 at one point. And to get embarrassed like that 7-2, and this is what we were talking about, where, you know, maybe St. Louis doesn't have strong home ice advantage, you know?
That was something we talked about. And they have not played extremely well at home at all this year, and that's just kind of been their thing, I guess. But they just came out kind of flat, and then with no help from the goalie, they weren't really in the game at all. So it's just one of those things where, like we had said, if they're going to win, they need Bennington to be better than average, and he was plainly average in that game. So if not bad, just bad, actually.
Yeah, and I don't even know what to think, because it doesn't make sense. And we'll talk about this in game 4. Obviously, the Blues rebounded. We're tied at 2 apiece, but I don't understand how a game like that could happen. Because especially how well they played in game 2 and how they outplayed Boston in Boston after a period and a half of game 1 where they seemed really well. The Blues are very confusing to me. You know, where one time I think they're hot and they have the chance to put this thing away, and then the next game they completely fall on their face and lose by 5 goals.
They've kind of been a tale of two teams, and it's kind of something that's been shown so far this year, as they had said. Like, this is their 4th series now, and they've been down in 2 of those 4 series. Well, 3 now. Sorry. They've been down in 3 of them. And not just like, we lost the first game. They've been down 2-1, or, you know, in as you get into the series. They're a resilient team, as it was shown. I mean, everybody's been harping on this, in last place in January and yada, yada, yada. But they fired Yo. They brought in Berube. They changed up the philosophy, especially defensively, and it's helped a ton. So it's surprising sometimes to see him come out as bad as they do. But I also, like we had talked about prior, it's one of those things, like, they kind of, like, Bennington kind of plays to the level that his team's playing at. And if they're not having a good game, he is decidedly average. So,
And, you know, that's the thing. That's why we play 7 games, because you don't know what could happen. But I don't know. It's so bizarre to look at St. Louis, because at one time they do look like a team that this is their first Stanley Cup. They're putting a whole city on their back. You know, everybody's behind them. And then they come back home, first game back, you give up 4 goals, you're down 4-0, and then by the time it's over, it's 7-2. And nothing to take away against Boston. I mean, as much as you hate to compliment them, Boston is a good team. And you can't like you're saying, you can't have a goalie that plays lackluster like that. And I hate to harp on Bennington, but when your goalie gives up 4 goals like that, you got to pull him. You got to make those decisions. I could be wrong. I think did they pull him after that?
After the 5th goal is when they finally pulled him.
Goal. Okay, yeah.
The 5th goal is when they finally decided to pull him. But I mean, even then, like, you're kind of grasping at straws. You're honestly doing that more for the confidence of your goalie going forward than you are the team. You pull a goalie after 5 goals, and it's the second period. You're going, it's probably time to let you just go hit the showers early, get that one, wash that off, and we'll come fire at him the next game.
Right.
So.
And I agree with you. I think any goalie is going to look at it this way: like after 5 goals, I deserve to be benched. There's no excuse.
And you know what's funny is there was I can't remember who it was a while back, but they got pissed. They're a horrible, horrible team. The goalie gave up. I think it was the Senators, actually. I think they were good. I think it was Craig Anderson. He got so pissed off that I can't remember who the coach was, but he pulled him and then put him back out there. He didn't let him go, yeah, just go have a night in the showers, bud. No, they sat him for 45 seconds and then just put him right back out there. He's like, what is this? You think that's going to get my confidence up? Come on, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is not only, I mean, it's embarrassing to get pulled early like that, but it's even worse now because there's multiple factors at hand. You're at home. It's the part of the the Stanley Cup, the end of the season, and things like that happen. And I know it's unfortunate to constantly talk about Bennington this way, but it's hard not to. It's just hard not to harp on this, that is their weak link, and I think Boston knows that.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I mean, I'll be flat out. They're kind of in the same boat as we had talked about before with Pittsburgh from 2 years ago with Matt Murray. Did Matt Murray play great in the 2016 playoffs? He was good, but Pittsburgh's defense kept high danger chances away from him, and that's what won them games. You expect your goalie to stop easy shots.
You just had to bring it up, didn't you?
I didn't. It's relevant to the times, sir.
Whatever. Some people would like to point out that Vasi did a great job replacing Ben Bishop, and that's probably what caused I mean, he was there after, but I think that's what caused Ben Bishop to get traded to Dallas. Yeah.
If Ben Bishop doesn't get hurt, I think Pittsburgh loses that conference final.
I would agree. I think that would be the case. And, that's the thing is it's all about this. When you talk about football, when you talk about, it's all on your quarterback, right? Yeah. And look at Tom Brady. People talk about how he's a system quarterback. Well, he's also won 6 Super Bowl rings. I feel like that the same could apply to a very good goalie, where no matter what situation is, if you have a good guy in the net, you believe you can win. And I just don't think that's there for the Blues right now.
I'm going to backtrack on you. I don't think that the Blues think that. I think, honestly, it's just they're playing – it's just weird. I feel like he's more confident when the team's confident. That game in Game 3, they honestly just came out flat, and it just wasn't like they were playing the same style of defense. Let's be honest. I mean, he had some just real soft goals to start. Corrales that he gets, there's no reason you shouldn't. The puck was low to the near side. Just put your pad out. It didn't go over pad. He just didn't have his angle correct. And that's a lot of times you see a goalie that's not getting their angle correct. They're more worried about where the pass is going to go, and they're cheating to the pass side so they can get there quicker. Now, a lot of times that happens with a goalie that's played a lot over a season. Well, Bennington's only played half a season this year, so he shouldn't have that, theoretically shouldn't be that tired compared to what is. There's only one goalie in the entire NHL history that ever played more than 65 games in a regular season and won a Stanley Cup, and that was Martin Brodeur. That dude was a freak of nature. So,
and I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but going forward, the Blue and you made a good point with 2016 with the Pens and how they were able to cover up Matt Murray being a rookie and work that way. And I think you're right. I think if the Blues want to win, they're going to have to rely on that defense. But you also have to say, look, where was the defense when you gave up 7 goals? It's not, we like to, and I know we've been doing this, Bennington, we like to put all the blame on the goalie, but your defense has also got to play better as well. You can't be in your zone all night, or they can't be in your zone all night.
Oh yeah. And we could talk about, like, if you look at game 4 last night, Tuesday night, Monday night, it's Tuesday now.
This will go up on Wednesday.
His actual 2 goals he gave up were both just bad rebounds that he didn't kind of corral in himself. Like the first one, he should have been able to corral in, and he just lets Charlie Coyle take it, skate right around him, and go into the net. Now, a little bit of that can be put on a defenseman for not, cutting him off from literally just having a free lane to go right in front of the crease. The second one, Patrice Bergeron tries to go 5-hole, and instead of stopping the puck 5, he turned his body weirdly, kicks the puck out right to Brandon Carlo, who just lays it into a wide open cage. Brandon Carlo scores his first ever Stanley Cup playoff game in the Stanley Cup final game because, bad puck luck a little bit, but at the same time, you can't put that rebound out to where you're at. You have to be aware of your surroundings. That was just a bad placement of a rebound. And he made it go out that way. If he just holds it like a normal, if he stays square to the shooter, that doesn't go out that way. It was a weird, interaction for that play by Bennington. So.
And just, as negative we're talking about the Blues in game 3, it seems like both teams are playing at a weird pace where it seems like, well, we gave you this game, or we took this game, now we got to give you this one. It just, I know that's not true, but that's just what it seems like, because the Blues came out firing on all cylinders, play a great game, take game 4, so now we're tied, and they continued the trend of scoring quickly. I think they scored in the first 42 seconds.
Yeah, Ryan O'Reilly scored real quick in that game. I don't know exactly. It was within the first 2 or 3 minutes for sure. And it was, that was another perfect example of just a rebound that Ryan O'Reilly just went right around and was able to pull away. So, he just got right by him. And it was actually kind of a hell of a play by Ryan O'Reilly to get around and then still beat Tuukka to the opposite net. I'm trying to see what time that was scored. Yeah, 43 seconds in. You were right, sir.
Yeah, it was crazy fast. And that's another example of how, it's amazing how this thing works, because we spent all this time talking about game 3 and how negatively we thought of the Blues. And then here they come in game 4 and dominate game 4 on Monday. And this is such a fun series because you don't really know. It's hard to predict. And I think that's what makes it so fun. And it just doesn't seem like either team can really pull away. It just doesn't seem like either team has that killer instinct yet where they can sense blood in the water and attack. Because I think Boston had a ton of momentum going into game 4. And we've talked about before, how we didn't quite feel like St. Louis had that advantage of home ice. But yet here we are, tied at 2.
Yeah, and now you're going into a best-of-3 series at this point, and you kind of just leave it all out there at this point. I think a huge part for St. Louis in this game 4 was, getting Oscar Sundqvist back. That helped him a ton. He changed the game quite a bit for him, I feel like. Vince Dunn coming back, he was the guy that got the puck through on the first goal that Ryan O'Reilly scores. That's a huge talent thing to be able to be a defenseman that gets pucks through the maze of bodies. It still amazes me sometimes, a guy like Brent Burns, how often he's able to get a puck on net with 7 dudes standing in front of him. Going into Boston, though, it honestly, this kind of plays into St. Louis's hands a little bit. They play better away. There's 2 games still in
Two of them in
Boston.
Boston. Yep.
In Boston. And honestly, like, they can build on last night's game. Like, Bennington, yeah, you gave up a couple softer, but they weren't like especially soft goals. But he looked good coming out of giving up 5 goals in a Stanley Cup final game. It didn't really shake him, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And they came out firing. Like, they have their guys back now. Some of the injuries they're getting back, and they're getting contributions from their top guys. Now, the one thing Boston's not doing yet is really getting contributions from the Marchands or the Bergerons. Like Pasternak. I don't even know if Pasternak scored a goal yet, has he?
I don't know.
I don't think he has. Question. So
well, and I agree with you. It's amazing to see the resiliency of St. Louis, and I mean the same could be said about either team. But I think it's more impactful for St. Louis to show that much resiliency because this is their first ever Stanley Cup. You know, this is their first chance to win a cup. And I just want to point something out on Game 4, just how dominant St. Louis was in that game. They won every possible stat you could have. They won.
Yeah.
They won shots on goal 96 to 85. They had more. They had 40 plus shot attempts, 188 to 148. Scoring chances, they dominated 80 to 65. And then final score you look at, it's 4-2. They were dominant, and it says a lot. And I agree with you 100%. This is in St. Louis's favor. I think St. Louis has the edge because of the fact that they're in Boston, which is insane to me.
And it also
the away team has the advantage.
When you play well away, man. Like but another thing too is I haven't heard the full thing, but I've heard some reports out there that Zdeno Chara broke his jaw. So
that was ugly.
I don't know if he's coming back or not. And if he's not, now they played all right without him on the ice when he wasn't there. But you're also playing 5 defensemen, so it makes you a little tired that way. Not having that 6 defensemen, but not having Zdeno Chara on the lineup, you lose your captain. Now, Patrice Bergeron may as well be the captain of that team at this point with how well he plays and his interactions and everything else. But at the same time, Zdeno Chara is a calming influence on that bench. So
right.
That's a huge thing for him. That could cost Boston the series.
Mm-hmm. And that was ugly. Right in the mouth. Oof. Oh, man. And yeah, puck to the face. That's boy, that is a nightmare. And you're right. When you have, everybody talks about the value of a vocal leader, and they are valued in sports, but something can be said about a silent presence like that. And I think, he was, like you were saying, he was somebody that can compose that bench, and Boston's going to need it because honestly, I would feel nervous that you how St. Louis is, because it's like, good God, you just can't put this team away. Yeah. Boston has 2 games this series where they absolutely have dominated. St. Louis comes right back and dominates. I just don't know. It's such a weird series, and it's very indicative, as I've said before. It's very indicative of this entire playoff run of. Just when you think you have the answers, these teams change the questions. It's almost unpredictable.
Oh, totally.
All right, so Game 5 in Boston. Who do you got?
I am honestly going to go with St. Louis. I don't think that there's any chance that Chara comes back into this game, and I think that that's a huge loss. Like, maybe not the biggest loss in player ability, but just like calming, and that's your captain. You don't want to be out there without your captain. I think that Bennington will play a pretty good game now that he's kind of got that real bad game out from underneath of his system. And honestly, I think St. Louis kind of wins this game kind of the same way. I think you end up having a 5-3 game.
Okay. I would agree. And it's simply because St. Louis plays phenomenal on the road. And if St. Louis wants any chance to win this series, they absolutely have to win these games in Boston. And I think they're very capable of doing it. And I would agree. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win another game 4-2. And I imagine they're going to get an empty netter and, a garbage time goal kind of thing. But I think they're going to win. And I still have the Blues winning this series, in my opinion. I think it goes 7, and I think the Blues win.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that St. Louis ends up winning a cup on Boston's ice in Game 7. So,
also, can we talk about how crazy hockey players are? You're trying to tell me that it's unsure if he's going to come back. And I'm like, the dude broke his jaw. And people are like, well, he might be able to go in Game 5. I'm like, no, he's not. He broke his jaw, you psychopaths.
He came back and played the rest of the game.
I know. It's insane. When I saw that, they're like, they're checking him back in. I'm like, what?
Came back with a fishbowl and started playing.
That just also talks to the mentality of the toughness of hockey players. Because if I were to take a puck like that to the face, I'd be like, take me home, get me an MRI, get me a hospital, take me home, put me on some ice, wire my jaw shut. I'm done. Good luck, guys. I'm done.
I couldn't do it. I've never broken my jaw, but I've had friends that have, and they're like, from what they said, there's no way that you could fucking play at a high level, let alone like go get hit.
Right, because you're gonna to heal it, you have to wire your jaw shut. So I mean, I don't even.
You do that, or you put a plate in it. One of the two. They got to. You can make a choice now, but. Ugh.
Yeah.
No, not for me.
Yep. I'm out. A little bit shorter this week, but we're gearing up for Game 5. I want to say, before this happens, I talked about last episode that NHL 19 is currently available the whole month of June for free. If you're if you have Xbox Live Gold, I downloaded it the day it was available, and I gotta say, I am not good. And
yeah, didn't you say you got sent down already, Mr. Richard Johnson?
Yeah, I created a player, Richard Johnson, number 69. You can figure. I'm not going to tell you that, but when you're listening to this in your car or wherever you listen to this, you're going to be like, "Oh, that's a funny joke, Jake. You're clever." Yeah, Richard Johnson, who I got to take a picture. I think I took a picture of him. I got to send it to you. He's got this filthy mustache and this big giant mullet. He looks like an 80s WWF wrestler. It's amazing. And yeah, I got sent down. I got drafted. I will say though, I played incredibly well in the Memorial Cup for Canada, and I got MVP. We won the Memorial Cup, and I was the number 1 overall draft pick. Richard Johnson was, but then I did not play as well in the preseason, and they dropped me down to the farm league.
You're a minor player. It's okay.
Hey, I'm still young. I got to hone my skills, and it's a different ball game when you're in the NHL. Also, I got drafted by the Sabres, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, that game is a lot of fun. Again, if you have Xbox Live Gold, it's free. Why not try it out? If you you obviously like hockey. If you listen to this, give it a shot. If you haven't already, I've also started a franchise. I created my own team, the Omaha Wizards, and they're
the Omaha Wizards.
I mean, honestly, if you were to make an Omaha team, what would you do?
Maybe go with the tried and true Mavericks, Lancers, Knights, maybe.
Could, but I like the Wizard logo, so I wanted them to be the Wizard. Pretty dang cool, man. Let me tell you.
Those dang Wizards, they're so threatening.
Hey, but that's what I'm saying. If we win, we could just say it's magic. Think about it.
Does your team play with magic wands instead of hockey sticks?
Our colors are like gold and yellow because he has like a gold wizard hat and
do you have a little lightning bolt scar on your helmet for everybody?
No, we've got lightning on our pants like the Tampa Bay Lightning.
That's terrible.
Is it?
Kind of.
Also, they have like generic like lumberjack looking ones, and I'm like, I should make a Portland team and make the Portland Lumberjacks or something.
Yes, do it.
See, that one
it's
makes
been done, but yes, do it.
You can do it in Madden, but that one makes more sense than the Omaha Wizards.
I don't know the Omaha.
Hey, I'll look at it this way: the Omaha Wizards is like the slogan for Nebraska. Honestly, it's not for everybody. Okay. Also, am in the West, I believe. I'm playing in Chicago's division, if I remember correctly.
The Central.
Yeah, I'm in the Central division, which makes sense. I'm in Omaha. Makes sense.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah, so I'll give you an update on that. Where we end up. Currently, we're 0-3 right now.
Currently, we suck. We are the laughing stock of the Central Division.
Hey man, it's a long season.
We took over for the Phoenix Coyotes.
Hey, it's an 82 game season. Anything can happen.
We could go on like a 79 game winning streak. Let's not even think about that for a second, guys.
Well, I'm hoping we could do Tampa Bay's thing and tie the best record in the NHL history, then lose in the first round. Sorry.
Get swept in the first round?
Yeah, I know. I have to bring it up. I'm legally obligated to complain about the Tampa Bay Lightning getting swept in the first round. Well, that is it for this edition of the Puck Drops here. As we said, we want to try and get these up, every other day to compete with when the games come out. But if that doesn't happen, we will still be back to talk about it and sit tight because we're doing the best we can. And follow Loud Sports at Loud Sports Pod on Twitter and Loud Opinionated on Twitter as well. And you can also like us on Facebook, Loud and Opinionated. And if anything, even if you're Richard Johnson or you're the Omaha Wizards or you're the St. Louis Blues or the Boston Bruins, watch some hockey.
Nerd.
I almost said sports.
Yeah. You almost messed it up. It's okay.
I almost did it, but I'm a professional.
Yeah. That's what we'll call you.
That's right.